BEOWULF Age of Heroes.
Hello, welcome back. We've taken a bit of a hiatus from recording these shows, but we are back with, I believe, episode 9. I've been calling it episode 9. I hope it is episode 9. Otherwise, I'm really confused. Today, we are talking about followers in BEOWULF Age of Heroes. That's probably my favourite part and the favourite thing we put together. We're just going to give you a quick run through what followers are all about and how they enable duet play in 5e. Because your hero has a little group of followers that do stuff and help you. It's pretty cool. Now, since we last spoke, I mean, everything's happened. What have we got out now? I've got this little pile next to me. BEOWULF Age of Heroes art book is out. We made this as a thank you for the patience of our US backers. Gave them all that free in PDF. And then we printed some because it's a really nice little book. You can get that on our website. Really nice. Of course, BEOWULF Age of Heroes is printed. Look at that spot UV. So nice. You can get that on our website and in stores in the UK and selected stores in the US. BEOWULF Annual. That's out. That's a good one. All the sort of written content from the digital packs collected into a really nice softcover book. That's good. We'll try and do one of those a year for as long as we're doing BEOWULF. Who knows how long that will be. What else have we got? Hermit Sanctuary in print. Just taken delivery of a bunch of those. They're a really nice little book if you want to have that in hard copy. So BEOWULF is a whole, loads of accessories, as you probably already know. Check out our website, handiwork.games, to look at all the BEOWULF accessories. And I should stop trying to sell you things, and let you watch or listen, depending on your format of choice, to the show. Thank you for tuning in, and sorry for the pause while we made, 67 gaming products. Thank you! Hello. So here we are again. We have been on a bit of a break from the BEOWULF Age of Heroes podcast, but we are back with a burning passion to tell you more about BEOWULF Age of Heroes. I'm John Hodgson, one of the co-designers of BEOWULF Age of Heroes, a name I'm going to try and not keep saying over and over. And with me once again is Jacob Rogers.
Hello. Once again, we are back.
It's been strange taking a break. We didn't really mean to take an enormous 6-month break between episodes, but things got just busy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And, no bad thing. But it's nice to be back. Another bite-sized chunk of a look through the BEOWULF Age of Heroes book. And we've got so much material now. The book is out in print, which I'm not sure it was during the last show. I think I gleefully used some footage of the real book after we recorded that one, perhaps. I don't know. Who could be expected to remember that far back? But yeah, all our backers have their, nearly all our backers have their physical copies. And there's one or two that have been eaten by the post office, but we'll get there. But that all happened a long time ago now, and we've since done. Last week we finished our Kickstarter for the Twin Seas Trials of the Twin Seas campaign for BEOWULF Age of Heroes, which collects all our PDF adventures into a single volume. Of course, all of those during the last episode, all of those weren't out. There's loads of stuff for BEOWULF now. It's brilliant. How cool was that? So what are we going to look at today, Jacob, to let you speak so I'm just not monologuing again?
Hey, we're taking a look at followers today. So we're going to talk about how followers work and what they can do, and a little bit of how we got here, because it was certainly a process to discover how followers worked.
I think this is possibly one of the most important topics around BEOWULF, because BEOWULF is aimed at duet play, so one GM, one player. How we balance all that out and make that work really comes down to followers, I think, right? And it wasn't the easiest of processes. I think this is probably the part of the design process that took the single longest time individually. Possibly that and maps, which I think we've mentioned before.
Maps was
a good thing with the. Yeah. Sorry, go on.
Really happy with where we got in the end.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, with the maps thing, that followers is better than maps, because maps didn't become a major feature of the rules, whereas followers did. So we managed to create something really cool with followers. So Tell me, Jacob, what are followers in Beowulf?
Followers are the folks that help you out during the game. Just like Beowulf has the people that come along with him on his adventure, you're going to have a group of people that are going to be able to help you out. And followers basically come in during the time that they have a part to play. So you might have a particular follower that has a particular skill, and they will be involved in the scene for a little while, do their special thing, and then they will fade back into the background. And of course, during a combat, the followers may be part of the combat, and they may be very important during certain sections, or they may be just in the background, kind of doing their own thing, fighting, background enemies while you're facing down the big bad or what have you.
Yeah, something we did that was really important was trying to keep away from followers having a stat block, because if we're playing as a one-on-one game, we specifically did not want you to have to do tons of bookkeeping and basically be running several characters, even if they're kind of stripped down characters. That didn't seem super fun to us. So we settled in the end on what have they got.
In terms of what followers have, they have gifts and burdens, things that they can do to help you out, and then there are some things that they might have to take on as a result of trauma or damage that are negatives that might come up as well during the game.
Yeah, we've kind of kept it as simple as possible, right?
Yeah.
So a bit of 5e that I really like is the way conditions work, that they're these little packets of rules. And I don't know, it's a long time ago since we worked on that, but it looks to me now like that was definitely a cue for sort of gifts and burdens that you can, rather than having numerical scores, each follower kind of has skills and like anti-skills in the form of burdens that when certain criteria are met, or you want to, trigger the follower to do a thing, then you simply invoke their gift or their burden,
Yeah, and like you mentioned earlier, they don't have a stat box or anything. So we decided that basically the thing that a follower can have is the follower can have advantage or disadvantage. So if you have a gift, it might give you advantage on a particular roll. If you have a burden, it might give you disadvantage on a different roll.
Yeah, I think it's a really nice thing. I think it's enjoyable, and certainly, we're in the great position now that we know lots of people who have been playing Beowulf themselves and having a great time with followers. It's nice that it gives the player something they can also invest in terms of developing the characters of their followers. I know we've talked a lot about this recently at this end of things. Our friends at Campaign Coins run a really great Beowulf stream game. We'll put a link in the show notes to that because they're really well worth your time to watch. And various followers have become sort of semi-legendary to the audience, I think, of those shows, which is really great and something that we wanted to happen.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's. I mean, sort of jumping back. I obviously, you've met me. I'll ramble off talking about all kinds of different topics. But the real key thing about followers in Beowulf is that they help the action economy, certainly in combat within 5e, where if you're facing down, 6 enemies, we didn't want Beowulf to be just all the fights have to be one-on-one, because otherwise, the amount of damage output that 4 basic foes could stick on your hero would be huge. And how do you stop that happening? And how do you let the hero have enough goes, as it were, to be equal to groups of enemies? And followers was definitely the way to do that. But followers have some basic gifts that almost all followers have, one of which is a gift called Engage, where they can tie up opponents. They're not necessarily, they are fighting, but they're not in terms of doing damage or killing anyone. We always talk about this, that you have to imagine an old Robin Hood movie where in the background you can see extras, merry men extras and Norman soldiers are just sort of clanging their swords together, and that was a bit of a design cue for in the background of the hero's story. There are their followers are keeping the monsters busy, but not necessarily, killing them off, and it doesn't need to be resolved with rules.
Right.
what else do they do that's really good? So rescue the hero is another very common gift that heroes have, that followers have, so that if the hero falls below, 0 hit points, falls below 1 hit point or 0 hit points, it's below 1.
I think it's actually a reaction that the hero can basically kind of call out for help, and wherever that is up to the player, of course, and then
Yep.
The followers rush in, save the hero, but then they have to do a death saving throw. And followers, when they make a death saving throw, they only make one roll. They either survive or they don't.
I love this so much.
Of course, some of them have gifts that give them advantage on the saving throw or whatnot. But yeah, so rescue the hero is kind of a last ditch effort that the hero is about to die, and the followers can definitely save the hero. It's a guaranteed outcome. But how many of your followers are going to fall on the battlefield saving you?
I love how it works, that it's sort of at what cost. As the lone hero, if you're cut down, your followers. I keep saying hero instead of followers. That's quite irritating. It's irritating me. Sorry, anyone listening. That your hero will be dragged out. Should they be cut down in combat. But when they kind of come round, maybe not everyone that they began the adventure with will be there. Your followers will have sacrificed their own lives to rescue you, and there's some cool stuff that comes with that. I think the investment in your little band of followers makes that quite high stakes.
Yeah, especially as you continue to play. Followers, when they first start, are fairly simplistic. Like John said, they have certain gifts that they automatically get when they start. But one of the downtime activities during the game is to go ahead and improve your followers by teaching them new gifts, possibly being able to remove a burden after a certain amount of time. As you continue to play, and it's the 8th, 9th, 10th adventure you've all been on, all of a sudden that follower having to make a death saving throw and not make it, there's a loss of a lot of opportunity, not just somebody that has one or two things. No, you can improve them and step them up, so they kind of keep pace with you a little bit. As you go up in level, the followers can get more gifts and do more things.
Yeah, it's really nice, and you get to. I think they're a wonderful conduit. I know when I'm writing adventures, I'm often using the suggestion that a follower might say a certain thing, and they become a shared resource for both the player and the GM, in that pretty much mostly actually it's not that easy. I was thinking about this the other day. It's not that easy to say who mostly controls the followers. It's kind of nominally the player. They are the player characters' followers, but the GM can give them things they're saying, the followers can give advice to the hero. And I think in a duet game, that's really useful if the followers belong to the player, so they know the followers aren't kind of lying, or it's not part of the plot if they say, oh, this looks, we don't really want to climb down this cliff, it looks really hazardous, they might not say looks really hazardous, that sounds a bit modern, but they can give the hero advice that can be trusted. And I think that's really good for keeping a duet game moving, rather than, because you can get a bit stuck. I've certainly had games where if the player is being exceptionally cautious and can't make a decision, it's been so great to have followers there to go, no, come on, we can do this. We're really confident, that this is a good course of action, and vice versa. If the player is going off on a total, dangerous course of action, at least a follower can give a recommendation that perhaps is a bit of, GM advice to them. And of course, it's more complicated than that, but it's a nice conduit for communication between the two, I think, to two people playing.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, so I don't really want for us to go list all the burdens and gifts and so on. I don't think that would be helpful. Most followers can engage enemies to tie them up so that the hero can work their way around the battlefield being the hero. Most followers can pull out the hero if they fall unconscious. A lot of followers can do a bit of damage to enemies, but that is an extra gift, isn't it, to be able to actually slay opponents is additional to your basics. I also think it's been quite interesting. We've got a bunch of gifts and burdens in the book. Since then, we've also been through our digital packs that are now printed in the Beowulf Annual. So much exciting stuff since we last spoke. We sort of developed that because it's really nice. We do these. They're called digital packs. They're little slices of extra stuff for Beowulf, and then we collect all the written stuff in the Beowulf Annual, and that lets us experiment beyond the core book and offer some. There's been some interesting stuff. We've got like a gift for knitting and things like that, which there's some funny stuff in there. But I've got plans to do a whole bunch more. I want to do a whole band of musician followers and what they can do for the hero, which I think would be really cool. So yeah, there's lots to it. I always feel whenever we talk about followers, I always feel that there's more to it than we're going to get across in a sort of 15-minute podcast.
Yeah, that's true, but that's good. There's a lot of things to explore. With both the basic gifts and then, like you said, as we continue to come up with more stuff and expand the game a little bit, there's plenty of options for that. One thing we haven't mentioned is that not all followers are human.
That's true, yeah. Which is really exciting, especially for younger players. Love an animal follower.
Yep. We have something called noble animals, and they, again, there's somebody here to help out and to maybe step into a scene, help the hero out, and then kind of retreat back into the distance. But again, it could be a dog that is exceptionally good at scouting. Or finding the monster, or it could be some other fantastical creature that steps in and maybe has something to say for a minute. And that's their one speech, and then they're silent for the rest of the adventure, or what have you. All kinds of interesting things you can do.
Just something I just remembered that we haven't mentioned. Again, we do. There's a lot of this in Beowulf where the different rules kind of tie into others. One of the big drivers as you play a Beowulf Age of Heroes campaign is the need. You have to pay your followers. You have to reward them after each adventure. They don't just do this out of the goodness of their heart and friendship. They do expect to be kept in a certain standard. And you can basically, this is worked out by how many gifts. The more gifts they have, the more expensively they need to be rewarded. But if you have one follower who has too great a concentration of gifts and is sort of worth more in terms of pounds of silver per adventure than the others, and the others will see that one follower is kind of the favourite and getting more rewarded, they can start to get a bit cheesed off about this and not be as forthcoming with their help. And if they're not paid at all, then you're starting to have to roll dice to get them to use their gifts on adventures. And equally, if all your followers are killed in an adventure, then you start to get a reputation as a hero that you're not somebody people want to join up with because you're dangerous. And I love all that stuff. Again, that's all really cool. It's all simple maths, all the pay stuff. We've had some fun times with the games I've played here where at the end of an adventure, adding up how much. I love the idea of the hero sat off to one side counting up all the treasure and assessing everything they've found along the way, and then dividing it up and doing a payday for their followers. I think there's some fun times there to be had. And of course you've got to look forward down the track as to how much are you going to train up your followers, because are they going to become very expensive?
Yep. Hopefully you're getting greater and greater rewards as you do that, but that's not always guaranteed. In fact, actually, another half of that is that we also have a little bit of a system for when you're creating an adventure, the quest giver could be generous. They could also be very thrifty. That could create a very interesting situation where you've been hired to do something, you've been promised, but it's just not quite making ends meet. And what are you going to do about that?
Yeah, I really like the idea. There's a piece, we spoke about this a while back, Jacob, I must write it up for a digital pack, a piece on structuring your campaign or the series of adventures. I would always recommend in GMs in early adventures for Beowulf pay quite generously so that the player can divide up treasure quite happily
without any pressure on, and they can see what it does for them, and they can make some fun choices of where they spend their money. Because you've also got the ship, which we spoke about in an earlier episode, and you can spend money on doing up your ship and so on. But then you maybe, a couple of adventures where money's okay, but then maybe put one in where there's a little bit more financial pressure on the hero, and they have to make some choices in what they spend their money on. I quite like that idea. And then, of course, if they then get to do a quest where they get plenty of money again, it's, good times for all. And I think that sort of pacing is worth thinking about.
Yeah, and everything that we're talking about with all these different things about how the followers feel and all that, that's all burdens. It's just a burden that they acquire. So again, it all fits within the system that you're already familiar with. It's not like there's an extra system that you have to pay attention to.
Yeah, it's all in our adventures. Every follower comes with a little follower card. You get them in the book as well. And the rules for their gifts and burdens are on the card, so you can reference them in play. You don't have to memorize it all or stop play to figure out how to do this. They're all, like we were talking about at the beginning, they're all the like conditions, these little packets of rules, which is great. That's cool. I think we might have covered followers.
Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it.
It's my favourite bit, I think. Good stuff. Right, that's good. We'll stop talking and we'll stop recording, and then we'll try and edit this into a show.
Well, that was all right, wasn't it? I think we're going to get back into our stride. I felt we were a little bit downbeat there about how exciting followers are as an innovation for 5e, but hopefully you've got enough to want to check it out. Hermit Sanctuary is the place to go. Free PDF introduction to BEOWULF Age of Heroes. It's available on DriveThruRPG. It's completely free. You can get it in print if you love it so much that you want the book on your shelf, and who wouldn't? But any nominated, you can just get it totally free. So do that and find out more about us at handiwork.games. Nice one. And do you know I do both the intro and the outro? Can you believe? Hard to believe as it is. There's just one take. I don't write a script. I mean, I just talk. It's amazing. Thank you. Bye.